the one thing that I was thinking sitting here was this was such a great conversation. The entire day it was transparent, it was open, it shed light on various facets. I just kept thinking, I wish more people could hear this. First of all, I wish it could keep going, not today, another day. But secondly, more people could hear it, particularly the kinds of citizens who think about these things and can understand them. So I think the one point that I'd like to close on is the notion that media is in enormous transformation now. We've already seen sort of the meltdown of conventional media. Now we're actually seeing the meltdown of social media. Something good is going to come out of this. We're going through a crucible period here. But on the other side, I do think there's going to be a desire for reliable sources of information that may well come from your local government. And that develop into, I think of a fairly new democracy, Estonia. Estonia's got a very, very sophisticated electronic democracy because they started out with no democracy and they built it quite quickly. Estonia has its problems, but it has a relatively well-educated on issues electorate because they're sort of connected through the computer because they do digital voting. And it's a kind of model that I think could be reproduced here in some ways. One thing we do know in the media business is that people tend to trust local voices. There's still that there. And that's something local government has, I think, as an advantage. And it's one that could be used. Now, there's a lot of issues in how local government moves into using social media, becomes its own sort of spokesperson in a more proactive way. But I think those are issues worth thinking about. I think there's a vacuum there that needs to be filled. And the voting public would love to have a little bit of the kind of insights that came around this room today. So this has been terrific for me. I'd like to pass it over to Eric. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Michael. It actually would be Sean, but Sean would rather I'm up here, but he deserves the lion's share of the credit for what you've seen today. I'll be very brief because we do have a reception outside and it's a beautiful afternoon. I guess I'd just say two quick things, two takeaways maybe from today. One, I appreciate Tim's comments here, and I think something you've heard throughout the day, and if you had a chance to walk through the Nixon Library, you saw it. There have been many tumultuous periods in American life. Maybe everyone is tumultuous, and in retrospect, it only looks calm. So this would seem to be another one, but I think perhaps a lot of what we think is so tumultuous right now is the volume and the speed of what's going on, and not so much the substance when you get underneath, because there certainly have been tensions and challenges for this country as long as we've been a nation. So I think that's one thing, and I think it's worth reflecting on that a little bit. The second thing I would say is when I started out this morning, I said California is not the only place with these challenges. The United States is not the only place with pension and infrastructure and environmental challenges. And I said, however, the argument could be made that California is as well positioned as anyone to solve them. I think everything I've heard today reinforced that this isn't so much an issue of we don't have enough money or we don't have the resources. It's about governance and it's about commitment. And I think this is a great place to start. That attempts to better governance and more commitment. We look forward to continuing this conversation. Just a reminder, if you're on Twitter, please follow the hashtag you've been seeing all day. Sign up for the webinars. Let's keep the conversation going. Thanks to all of you very much for attending, for staying all day, and please do enjoy some food and drink before you leave. Thank you.